Welcome back to PH.d TV, and today we'll be going over the top best bourbon brands and their best offering. That was the wrong title of your own damn video, Phil. It's not the best 5 bourbon brands, it's just top 5 bourbon brands. Hey everybody, welcome back to PH.d TV, and we're gonna talk about the best bourbon brands, and I did it again. Welcome back to PH.d TV, and we're gonna go over 5 bourbon brands and their best offerings. Alright, so to start off, we're going to start with an honorable mention, and it is actually from Four Roses. It is actually the Four Roses single barrel. Now, quick fun fact about Four Roses and what makes them such a consistent brand is that they believe in a single story system when storing their barrel. Most distilleries, if you go to them, you'll see that let me just restart this whole sentence. If you go to most distilleries, you'll see that they have barrels stacked on top of each other in a warehouse type setting to really just stack as much as they can. But the thing is with that, you'll have a lot of weather fluctuations, being higher in the air, lower in the basement, whatever you want to call it. So the reason that they're so consistent is because they have a single floor to keep the barrels in. And of course, as I was saying, this is the best options from these brands in my opinion, but these are the best options you can get at almost any store. The whole concept of this video, specifically, I forgot to mention in the introduction, is that these are the best options you can buy at a typical store. So to say that you're not gonna find things like Blanton's and you're not gonna find things like Weller because they are typically harder to find. Sometimes they even get raffled off. These will be options that you can buy at any store at any time, just to keep this a very user-friendly video. The notes that fall in this Four Roses single barrel is, on the nose you get this dried spice, pear, cocoa, vanilla, and maple syrup type, hint. In the palate, you do get hints of ripe plum and cherries with a robust, full-bodied, and mellow taste with a finish that is impeccably smooth and delicately long. And it is aged 7 to 10 years, and it does come at a proof of 100. The next thing we're gonna go to is actually from my favorite bourbon house, which is Maker's Mark. And the choice that we're gonna be going with today is Maker's 46. And to me, that, in my opinion, even though I love the original, and I was actually potentially about to choose the cask strength because that is divine, but I'm ultimately gonna go with Maker's 46 today. And if you're not familiar with Maker's Mark, that is the one with the red wax. Actually, in fact, to show that this is my favorite bourbon, here is one that I dipped myself at the distillery. Pretty small, it's the only one that they sold at the time. And whenever I got engaged to my fiance in the winter of 2019, my dad got me a oh, come on, we gotta get the light. Autofocus, man, we're almost there, I can feel it. There we go, it is the 2019 edition, just to remember. Not sure if he gave this to me as celebration or if he gave this to me for hard times. And what's really great about this bourbon in comparison to some of the other ones that Maker's Mark does offer is that the taste of this one is so good, and it's only approximately, I think it's about 5 to 10 bucks more than the original Maker's Mark. So it's not gonna be wallet breaking either way if you wanna step up and try something different. And the notes for the Maker's Mark 46 are full of hints of wood staves. I'm pretty sure they're French staves, French oak staves, pretty sure. Caramel and sweetness. The taste it has very intense flavors and a big crescendo of wood blending perfectly with deep, complex, rich notes of vanilla and caramel, and the finish is incredibly smooth and subtle, and you will find this at a 94 proof. And trust me, if you want a little hint, and I'm gonna say probably most bourbon heads are gonna say this is an absolute sin to do, but again, this is a channel for, everyday people. I'm giving you unprofessional opinions and advices. Put it in the freezer and have it the next day. It is delicious. Moving on, we are gonna go to the house of Bulleitt. I've heard some people say it's called Bulleitt, but we're gonna stick with Bulleitt because I hear most people call it Bulleitt, so we're gonna stick with the everyman title. And to me, this is a whiskey that when you drink it, it's literally on the label, it says Frontier Whiskey. So to me, you just feel like a cowboy drinking this. Like, you even look at the bottle and you just imagine some cowboy keeping this in a satchel, and I don't know, you just feel like you're in the Wild West. Might just be me. And though the original Bulleitt is pretty amazing, we're actually gonna switch this into the rye, which is the green label. And it's not to say that the original Bulleitt, whiskey is, bad. It's not bad, it is delicious, but you can find other classic Kentucky straight bourbons that are just as good, if not better. But when it comes down to the rye, you're gonna find a very good complementing beast to keep in your liquor cabinet. And if you ask me, it makes the best old fashioned, in my opinion. And I know most people, especially people who are probably on this, watching this, thinking, who are much more into whiskeys and things like that. I agree, Whistle Pig is definitely gonna be the best rye you can find on the market, but not every store is gonna have that. I'm just gonna tell you, I've been to a bunch of stores, I've seen maybe two out of 10 stores have Whistle Pig, so that's why I didn't make the list. And the notes for this Bulleitt Rye Bourbon is, it's russet in color, has rich oaky aromas, and the taste is exceptionally smooth with hints of vanilla, honey, and spice, and the finish is crisp and clean with long, lingering flavors, and you will find this at a proof of 90. The next one we're gonna jump into is actually from the House of Wild Turkey. And hold on, I know what you're thinking. A lot of people have said that is, you know, some serious hangover voodoo bourbon. That's what I had in college, or, you know, just, it's got a bad rap on occasion, you know, but you're gonna find people who love it, you're gonna find people who hate it. Not really that middle ground, and I'm someone who really likes it. But have you had the Wild Turkey LongBranch, the one that Matthew McConaughey recently released, I think maybe the last year or two? Because it is fantastic, and I know a lot of people who have converted from not liking Wild Turkey to liking it because of Matthew McConaughey's contribution.
That I say, all right, all right, all right.
And if it does mean anything, it did win double gold at the San Francisco Spirit Competition. Sorry, San Francisco, looking at my notes here, sorry. San Francisco World Spirits Competition. And the notes that you will find here with this bourbon is that the aroma will be a sweet bouquet of caramel, vanilla, and toffee, as well as a touch of nutmeg and oak falling throughout. And the taste does have a creamy mouthfeel that really shines with the bourbon's sweeter notes of honey and orange. And you do get a pop of heat and then a mild dryness that powers through the whole finish, leaving a caramel and spice trail. And this is an 86 proof bourbon, so it's a very easy drinking on ice. And these last two that we're gonna get into, these are not gonna be so much as branches of certain bourbons like flankers. I don't know how you wanna put it. Kinda like there's Wild Turkey Classic, then there's 101, then LongBranch, and there's Maker's Mark, and then there's the 46 and everything else. These are just gonna be the straight classics, the staples, the beginners of each of these last two distilleries. So this one is actually going to be from Woodford. This is the classic Woodford Reserve. And it is one of the easiest ones to find at almost any store. This is typically the one that is not quite top shelf, but it's very much eye level because it is next to what you can get to probably being the most top shelf in most stores you go into. And Woodford is actually so good. In 1995, the distillery was listed on the National Register of Historical Places. I'm pretty sure it's one of 32 in Kentucky. And of course, Woodford you will also find this a lot in most restaurants as the top shelf choice. And the notes for Woodford Reserve will be heavy and rich dried fruit with the aroma, hints of mint and oranges covered with the dusting of cocoa, as well as a faint vanilla and tobacco spice. And the taste is rich, chewy, rounded with smooth, complex citrus, cinnamon, and cocoa. And the toffee and caramel and chocolate spices notes abound. The finish is silky smooth, almost creamy at first, with a long, warm, satisfying tail end. And the proof is actually 90.4, making it very precise and true to what they were going for in terms of taste and finish. And lastly on this list, we are at Buffalo Trace. Now, I know that this one's actually harder to find in most every stores, but the thing is, I do know that it is carried at almost every single store. It just sells out very quickly, but the whole concept of this list is that most stores, the average store does have to carry it, and I know most stores that are average stores do carry this. It just sells out very quickly, so therefore it makes the list. And what's really cool about this bourbon is that I went to this distillery, my fiance took me there for Christmas one time, is that this distillery only ever tries to make Buffalo Trace bourbon. What they do is basically they make everything the exact same way every single time, and if in the tasters, the people who make sure that this is a Buffalo Trace quality, and they say that it does not exactly, you know, touch base where it needs to be, that's when they'll actually make it into different flankers, such as the bottom shelf, $12 a fifth benchmark. Actually not that bad for $12. But it is from Buffalo Trace Distillery. You'll see it at the bottom of that label, but that's where the flankers come from. It's when Buffalo Trace goes wrong. But sticking with Buffalo Trace, it is such a good, easy bourbon and is considered to be one of the best, and you can easily find a fifth for 25 bucks. So it's gonna be one of the cheaper ones on this list, but it is absolutely fantastic, tried and true. You cannot talk to a bourbon person without that conversation probably coming up at some point. It is literally the world's most awarded distillery, so the bourbon's gotta be good. And the notes have a deep amber whiskey, and it has a complex aroma of vanilla, mint, and molasses. And the taste is pleasantly sweet with notes of brown sugar and spice that give way to oak and toffee and dark fruits. And the finish is long and smooth with serious depth. And this is a 90 proof bourbon, so it's gonna be very good. It does run 45% alcohol, so you can be good for mixing it, you can be good for ice. But if you're a bourbon person, do what you want with it. You know, I'm not gonna be one of those people who say bourbon, cherish it, bourbon this, bourbon that. Drink it how you like it. Everyone's different. You do you. And that is today's episode. Thank you for watching. PH.d TV, I'm Philip. If you liked what you saw here today, hit subscribe down below. And if you think someone might find this interesting and might want some, good suggestions, send this to them and have them subscribe as well. Until then, you be safe out there and take care.
That I say, all right, all right, all right.